The lunar eclipse is a supercharged full moon, basically. It's a full moon that appears close to the moon's nodes, and that gives it more of a connection to destiny, to history, to your ancestry, to the karmic past, and also the future. So eclipses connect us to uh, threads of time, and that makes them very significant and very important. I'm calling this the lunar eclipse of liberation because the eclipse opposes Uranus, which has an almost explosive energy. It explodes what's inauthentic, what's not true, what's not real. Uranus is the planet of freedom and authenticity, and it promises surprises, separations, breakups, breakdowns, breakthroughs, breakaways, and lucky breaks. The lunar eclipse appears in Scorpio, a sign that is both financial and intensely emotional in nature. Scorpio is the sign of shared resources. So it has to do with all these things we've been talking about with Jupiter square Pluto. Insurance, joint accounts, inheritance, investments, taxation. Scorpio is the sign of shared emotional assets and liabilities too. Scorpio is the domain of trauma, karma, and healing. So this is a really intense eclipse setup. You guys seeing that? Uranus is also like the middle finger planet, right? The Uranus is like, you tell me what to do is kind of the Uranus attitude. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it my way, even if that's not the best way. Even if you guys have lots of suggestions, if you've pushed them in my face, I'm going to resist them even harder. So there's kind of a resistance thing to Uranus too. You might meet this strong resistance or this unexpected blow up. As part of this Uranian energy. It's very dynamic. It's very volatile. Use the dynamic energy of this Uranian eclipse to find more space and time to be your authentic self, to look for the breakthroughs and those places that you can become more aligned with what is truly you and separate from those things that you don't need to take responsibility or ownership of. Each set of eclipses sets up a new 6-month story in your life. This lunar eclipse pairs with the 420 solar eclipse at the end of the impulsive fire sign Aries. Around that time, we saw 2 high-profile journalists fired for misconduct, a teenager shot for the crime of knocking on the wrong door, and I've seen other things in the news. This guy shot a family of 5 and 11 o'clock at night because they asked him to stop firing his guns out in the yard. There's a lot of really impulsive, very poor decision making happening around this eclipse season already. The infantile tendencies of Aries sprang up in big and small ways, meeting with a world that is 29-degree Aries. We're so sick of the violence, so tired of tolerating the violence. This lunar eclipse brings emotions to full tilt in the fixed water sign, Scorpio. As its energy is under the influence of unstable Uranus and Taurus, this may add up to geologic events like earthquakes and volcanoes, especially underwater or affecting large water bodies. Scorpio is a water sign. You may also see watershed events in your own life, especially if these eclipses engage strongly with planets in your chart. Although you may see an eclipse-connected event in these areas around the time of the eclipses, around this April-May timeframe, keep in mind that these symbols and stories do not immediately fade away. In fact, they will play out over the next 6 months between now and the next set of eclipses in the fall. I think of eclipse season as changing the wallpaper, the energetic wallpaper. And then the wallpaper stays up until the next set of eclipses arrives and changes it to something else. All right. So the energetic wallpaper is going to be pretty intense for these 6 months because we're talking about Aries and Scorpio, very active, very Martian. They're both ruled by Mars. The good thing about this is that during the time of the eclipse, the ruling planet of the eclipse Scorpio is the eclipse sign. And so the ruler of that eclipse is going to be Mars, the ruler of Scorpio. Does that make sense? And Mars is going to be trine Neptune at the time of the eclipse. And this tells us that creativity, spirituality, compassion, intuition, all of these things are a really good outlet for the intense energies that we're feeling around the time of this eclipse season and for the next 6 months. May 5th through 9th. That edgy, unstable, nervous energy of the lunar eclipse in Scorpio is going to stick around for a few days until the sun completes its conjunction to Uranus on May 9th. All right. The lunar eclipse in Scorpio can bring big emotions up in a big way. So if you find yourself struggling with grief or just a lot of big feelings, a lot of that can really come up while that super emotional. I mean, full moons are really emotional. Lunar eclipses kick it up a notch. Lunar eclipse in freaking Scorpio kicks it way up. So if you find yourself in your feelings, that's really, really not unusual.